All right. Hey, it is league meetings this week. It is Monday, March 31st, and meetings got off and running. There is a host of reporters, journalists down in Florida right now asking questions to Brad Holmes, and some of those questions have been answered. We're talking about the future of Jameson Williams. What is going to be happening with JMO over the next couple of months has come to light today. Now, will this stay firm? We're going to find out soon enough. But what I want to tell you guys is this is no different than what I've been saying now for several weeks. And I'm glad to see that the information that I've been giving is coming back now, that it has been the right information. So let's dive right into it, and let's see what Eric Woodyard had to report first. So Eric Woodyard on Twitter about an hour ago had mentioned that the storyline here is that the Lions are going to be picking up the fifth-year option for Jameson Williams. A little bit below that, you see it's likely that the Lions will exercise the fifth-year option for wide receiver Jameson Williams. This is according to General Manager Brad Holmes. Quote, "Look, it's heading that way, that we are most likely going to be doing that," end quote. He also said Holmes thinks he has, quote, "more in him and makes sense," end quote, as a great talent. Now, this isn't the only story. Now, I've been discussing this. I've been discussing this same thing for several weeks, that at no point in time does it ever make sense to extend Jameson right now. Phenomenal football player, right? He's got that potential to strike, a home run on any given play. Anytime he touches the football, he can go the distance. And we love that about JMO. It's just, there's been some things that he's been involved in that kind of make you a little apprehensive, at least for me. And that's why I said the fifth-year option made the most sense, surrounding the fact that there's multiple players for the Lions right now that need extensions, need reworked deals. And this morning on the morning show, when I mentioned the deal about Khalif Raymond and how Khalif just juggled some things around for 2026, fast forwarding some of his income into 2025, my first question is, who are they extending? Who are they bringing in? And this is why. This is exactly why. But let's get into the other headlines here about Jameson Williams. All right, so now Mike Payton, A to Z Sports, he had this follow-up. And big shout out, Mike Payton. Thank you for doing this work, buddy. Says, the Detroit Lions had a good handful of extension or fifth-year option questions this offseason, and by far the biggest one is with receiver Jameson Williams. Like Aiden Hutchinson, he's up for an extension this offseason, but the answer for him is not as easy as it is for Hutchinson. Now, Williams had a big 2024 season. He hit the 1,000-yard mark for the first time in his career, and that was awesome, right? But he's also had to deal with two different multi-game suspensions, two different injuries, and was the subject of an internal affairs investigation by the Detroit police. Just not good, right? I mean, those are not great things to be involved in. And it kind of paints this picture about somebody that, can you really trust them? Are they really going to do right by you? Once you hand them this giant bag, even bigger than their rookie deal, can they stay the football player? Can they put football first? I still question that personally. And that's why for several weeks now, I've been reporting the fact that I don't think the Lions are willing to go that length just yet. The fifth-year option makes sense for many reasons. That's just one of them. Now, we'll move on with this article here. He says, while he's a good kid, talking about Jameson Williams, and the team has shown belief in him, there's been thought that belief may not be strong enough to get Williams the big payday at this time, and that going the fifth-year option route and giving Williams a year to show that he can have a season with no drama and big output. It's the no drama, right? I reported on it last year, and I got a lot of hate for it that, he's doing these extracurricular activities in the end zone, getting 15-yard penalties in what was the biggest game of the season against the Washington Commanders and other games. You just can't do that stuff. It doesn't matter if you're up by 14 points or not. You've got to be able to maintain a level head and play football. The extracurricular stuff is pointless. Like, this is the time to win. not the time to play sandbox games. So I'm going to move on to the actual quote here from Brad Holmes. I noticed that there was two different styles of the quote for Brad Holmes between Eric Woodyard and Mr. Payton here. They're similar. I assume that they're both correct in their own way. So he says, quote, yeah, I mean, look, it's heading that way. You know, he's most likely going to be on that, talking about the fifth-year option. He was a tremendous player for us last year. He's still scratching the surface. I do think he's got more in him as well, end quote by Brad Holmes. Now, I agree with all this. Let's discuss it here. At the end of the day, Jameson Williams is a dynamic football player. Anytime he touches the football, it can go the distance. We know that. I think that he's been a critical component at times inside this offense. When we needed an explosive play, he was able to do that. There's also been times where we couldn't afford, stupid penalties, stupid plays, and he's given us those too. I think that for whatever it's worth, my reservation about paying Jameson Williams a big bag and giving him a full extension this season is for no other reason than maturity. I don't think that he's ready yet. Last year was his third season in the NFL. Really, it was his second. He got in a handful of games in his first year, and he wasn't ready. He did not know the playbook, as allegedly reported by multiple staffers on the sideline there that I spoke with 3 years ago now, that JMO wasn't ready. And it was evident. It was even spoken to after the games by Dan Campbell, and I believe Brad Holmes might have made a comment or two, and Ben Johnson definitely made a comment that you've got to know your assignment, right? You have to know, what you're doing any given day. So he just didn't show the maturity at a young age. From his first year, you're on the sideline, you're not able to play. You should know that book. You should have an ear in on the sideline if they allow you to, and you should be listening to all those calls and staying engaged in the game. And for whatever reason, he didn't. But then his second year, it starts off with suspensions and everything else, and it just wasn't a good look on the team, and it wasn't a good look for JMO. The police stuff last year and the other suspension for some unknown substance that we still never got clarity on. There's just a lot of maturity things with JMO. I don't think a lot of us have questions about his dynamic athletic ability. His God-given talent is there. But if you don't have it from the shoulder up, it doesn't matter what you have from the shoulder down. It's been that way forever at this level. Everybody has a God-gifted ability in the NFL, but not many have the God-gifted ability to be intelligent, to be smart, to have good EQ, right? To be a good teammate, to be selfless. Not many people have that. And this is the year that JMO's going to prove that he does. And if he does, maybe he gets a bag next year. Lastly, I will say that there's not many teams that can afford to pay multiple players of the same position that kind of money. You just seen it happen with the Cincinnati Bengals. It has now caused some issues potentially for Trey Hendrickson to stay with the team. If the Lions were to pay both of these guys, Amon-Ra and JMO, pretty hefty bags, Amon-Ra's already taken care of, who are we going to lose? Because you're going to end up losing Sam Laporta. You'll end up losing maybe a Brian Branch or a Kirby Joseph. You could lose an Aiden Hutchinson if he's not signed already. One of the shoes is going to drop. Someone is going to have to go. You can't afford to keep everyone. And if the Lions can figure it out, then by all means, please do. But they'll be one of the first teams to be able to do it. And maybe it takes a little bit of, contract finessing. Maybe it takes a little bit of understanding from the football players themselves to say, hey, I don't need a max deal. I need a Lombardi. Because once I get a Lombardi, more max deals will come. Look, I'm not surprised by this. I think that JMO's going to have an excellent 2025. We need him to be healthy and ready to rock and roll from day one. So as reported by Mike Payton and Eric Woodyard, Brad Holmes likely to pick up the fifth-year option on Jameson Williams here in 2025. A little bit of money was moved around today with Khalif Raymond. This morning spoke about it, like I said, in the morning show. And now it makes sense as to why. They're moving money around. They're trying to open up some space to get some things done. Don't be surprised if we hear some more news popping, some bigger news popping here in the coming days, weeks, and months ahead. You guys have a wonderful afternoon. Go One Pride, go Detroit Lions. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.